Good morning, everyone. It is good to see a couple people here already. 14 people here already. All right. Good morning, everyone. Happy Sabbath. Can you all hear me okay? So, as a check-in question today is, what was the best meal you had this week? What was the best meal you had this week? Seems like I have some delayed response time on the chat, but I can see it this week, so that's good. We've got homemade chili, vegetarian Mexican lasagna. That sounds good. Taco salad. We had that yesterday. So the second question for today, the first question, if you still want to answer, what was the best meal you had this week? Second question, the one for the prize, the one that correlates with the videos somewhat. Black beans, corn, sweet potato burritos. Wow, that sounds delicious. Veggie nuggets. I don't know what that is, but sounds great. So the second question of the day. Again, if you've been watching the videos, then this is going to be helpful. If you haven't watched the videos this week, then you'll have no idea what I'm talking about. So the question for today is, what do pink fig bars represent? What do pink fig bars represent? First person to answer correctly gets a prize. Keith, congratulations. Keith Peschel. Clothes is the correct answer. Rooms is a good guess. Rooms were the blue fig bars. The pink ones were the clothes. So a lot of people got that one right, but none of you were first except Keith. So congratulations to Keith. You are the winner for today. Second, the next announcement that I wanted to make was that, again, you can go to wahpetonchurch.com, and if you would like to continue giving, then there are links to be able to continue giving there. So if you want to continue giving, wahpetonchurch.com, and that's where you can find the links to that. We'll again have a time to kind of answer any questions that or comments that you have at the end. So if you'll forget your comment or question, then just type it into the chat and I will try to come back to it towards the end. So this was an interesting week. I wasn't expecting my week to go the way that it did. And yes, Peggy's saying the Adventist Giving app. Yes, that is the same. It's the same website that you would get to from the church website, wahpetonchurch.com. It'll take you to the Adventist Giving website. You can also download the Adventist Giving app on your phone and give that way. So there's a lot of pretty simple ways that you can continue giving if you would like to do so. So the week was a little bit strange. I wasn't expecting kind of to be hit emotionally as hard as I was this week. But today I woke up and I started reading a little bit, and I feel pretty good today. So I'm happy to be here with all of you, and I'm happy to be sharing this time with you. Pablo Picasso, he said, "Every child is an artist. The problem is remaining one once we grow up." Kids have this sense of awe and wonder and discovery and mystery that we kind of lose as we grow up. Have you ever wondered why a child turns on and off the lights over and over and over, right? It's not to annoy us. It's because it's so amazing that they can touch a button and it lights up the whole room, and then they touch the button and the room goes dark. We understand a little bit about the mystery of electricity and how the light switch is connected to different things and it sends electricity to one spot and it lights up the light bulb. So we kind of understand that, but there's no mystery to it. There's no wonder. There's no awe. Whereas for the kid, it's amazing. Every time they push the button, the light turns off and the room goes dark, and then they push it again and it turns back on. So there's this sense of wonder and discovery of this amazing things that they've seen. Or maybe you've taken a child to the zoo and you see them, how excited they are to see their favorite animal. Maybe for the first time, they're seeing their favorite animal in real life, up close and personal. A lot of times you see kids at the monkey exhibit at the zoos, and the monkeys like to interact with people. So they come up to the glass and they'll play with the kids. And there's just this sense of wonder and awe. The kids, sometimes they'll just scream and they'll laugh. And there's such a joyous occasion because they're seeing something that they've never seen before. And it's just so amazing. And as adults, we kind of lose that sense of wonder. What happened? In North America, we tend to prize usefulness over everything else. Usefulness is the primary measure of something's worth, of a thing's worth. And so then utilization of resources is the primary purpose of creation. And so we are tool makers, and the world is just this giant toolbox for the satisfaction of our needs. Usefulness is the primary measure of something's worth. So when we look kind of back through history, kind of a philosophy of learning, we see that the ancient Greeks, they learned in order to comprehend, whereas the Hebrews learned in order to revere. We learn in order to use. So the Greeks, they learned to comprehend. The Hebrews, they learned to revere, and we learn to use. When we learn things, we have to ask, what is the usefulness of this new knowledge that I'm having? All right, and this is why we don't like certain subjects when we're in school, because we think ahead to our future and we say, what's the usefulness of learning this thing? This thing is never going to be useful for me. It's the same reason why so many people can make fun of people who got an art degree in college, because we can look at that and say, what is the usefulness of the knowledge that you're gaining there? And this usefulness is so deep and pervasive. I have my dog here with me, Finnick. Hey, Finnick, come here. He's being so lazy, getting up real slow like you're an old man. Come here. Hi, come here. All right, so I have Finnick here with me, and I've gotten to spend a lot of time with Finnick these last few weeks. He's not having this. These last few weeks. And I love Finnick. I love my dog Finnick. And as I'm thinking, sometimes Finnick will do something that's like really cute or really sweet. And I have this moment where I just think, man, I really love this dog a lot. And it's a baffling thought to me, because ultimately when I really search down and get down through the layers, I think, what's the usefulness of this, right? What's the usefulness of this love that I have for the dog? It's not really all that useful. And so it's baffling to me. It's confusing. We can't really understand it because we can't wrap our heads around what the usefulness of it is. Now, of course, there's a usefulness to having a dog, having joy and all of those things. But ultimately, the love that I have for the dog, it's not very useful. And I don't really understand it. Thank you, Finny. Do you want to go? Do you want to go outside? Okay. Yeah, get out of here. And so when we view nature as a toolbox, then what we get is a world that doesn't point beyond itself, right? Because if usefulness is the primary measure of a thing's worth, then the world becomes a toolbox. And if the world is a toolbox, then it's not really a world that points beyond itself. But when nature is sensed with wonder and with mystery, then we get a world that points beyond itself, and we start to understand broader things. If we think about a seed that is planted in the ground and then it sprouts a plant, that is amazing. It is amazing that we have a seed and it goes into the ground and it gets buried, and then that seed becomes something totally different. It becomes a whole new plant. It's a whole new thing. It is an absolute miracle that a seed gets thrown in the ground, and through a really complex process that happens, it becomes something not a seed. It becomes a whole new plant, and it shoots up out of the ground. That is amazing. It is a miracle. And the more I learn about agriculture and the more I learn about the things that are actually happening, the wonder of it doesn't get smaller. It gets bigger. That ultimately there's photosynthesis, there's sunlight and water and all of these scientific processes that are happening. And learning more about those things doesn't diminish the wonder. It makes it bigger. It makes me go, oh my goodness. It still is just a seed, and it gets planted in the ground, and then it becomes something else. It's amazing, this miracle that happens. But we drive past fields of sunflowers and wheat all the time. Some of us maybe are farmers, and we plant those year after year, and then we harvest them. And so we've grown accustomed to just seeing what they are, and we lose this sense of wonder and amazement at what just happened. Something was in the ground, and then it became not that thing in the ground and grew up as a totally new thing. And we don't teach kids a sense of wonder, right? What we teach kids is we teach kids how to measure things, and we teach kids how to weigh things. We teach kids how to control things, how to use things. We don't teach wonder and awe. Wonder, if it is encouraged at all in our world, is a stimulant, right? It is a precursor to knowledge that can then be useful. But to the prophets in the Old Testament, it is a form of thinking that there was no answer in the world to humans' radical amazement. In Psalms chapter 8, verse 3, it says, "When I look at your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars which you have set in place, what is man that you are mindful of him, and the Son of Man that you care for him?" It says, when I look to the heavens, when I see the stars, all right, the more industrialized our world becomes, the less we can actually see the stars, the less we can look up into the sky and be amazed at this thing that we see, the heavens, the stars. There's a photographer who did a series called The Darkened Cities. And what he did was he would take a picture of a cityscape during the day, and then through the photo editing process, he would darken it. And so it looked like it was at night, but there were no lights on because it was during the day. So he would take a picture, darken it, and then he would map the coordinates, the latitude and longitude of where that city was and the sky that was above it. Okay. And then he would go out to a desert where there was no light pollution. And he would find the latitude and longitude of that same sky spot and take a picture of the sky in the dark. And what the result was that you could see a picture of a city with all the lights off and what the stars would look like. You could see cities that were lighted entirely by stars. Now, some of you now are curious and you're going to go check this out, and I've completely lost you. You have my blessing to go look at the darkened cities, be amazed, be in wonder. That's the whole point of today. All right, so have my blessing, go look at the darkened cities. It's amazing. Wonder is the birthplace of worship. Wonder is the birthplace of worship. It's this sense and this moment where you can go, wow, that is incredible. And we don't get that very much as adults. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 11 says, God has made everything beautiful in its time. He also put the mystery into man's heart, yet so that he cannot find out what God has done from the beginning to the end. He has put the mystery into our hearts. Some translations translate this: God has put eternity into our hearts, yet that we cannot comprehend what God has done from beginning to end. There's this deep mystery about the world. And we don't deal well with mystery, right? There's a proverb that goes, those who travel in pursuit of wisdom, meaning to get to the other side of mystery, right? Those who travel in pursuit of wisdom walk only in a circle, and after all their labor, at last return to their pristine ignorance. Right? Those who walk in pursuit of wisdom walk only in a circle, and after all their labor, at last return to their pristine ignorance. Right? That if you're going after wisdom, you get to a point where you learn so much that you recognize, I don't know anything. Right? Have you ever noticed that the smartest people are the ones who are the first to admit how much they don't actually know, even though they know far more than us? They're the first ones to admit, oh yeah, there's so much that I have barely scratched the surface of this thing. They recognize how much they don't know. The writers of the Bible appreciate mystery in a way that we don't. The end of Deuteronomy, I love this. The end of Deuteronomy is it's the end of the books of Moses, the Torah, the most important portion of the entire Hebrew scriptures, of the entire Old Testament, is the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible. And it ends with describing where Moses is buried. So in Deuteronomy 34, verse 6, it says exactly where Moses is buried. It says, and they buried him in the valley in the land of Moab, opposite Beth Peor. Okay, so it says exactly where Moses is buried. And then it says, but no one knows the place of his burial to this day. Right, so it describes this is where Moses is buried, and then says, but no one knows the place of his burial to this day. There's this respect and appreciation for this divine mystery of all things. Kids get it, right? Kids get this sense of mystery and sense of wonder, because everything to a child is discovery. Everything is new. But religion has a particularly hard time with mystery and with wonder, right? Because religions have become institutionalized. Religions are essentially these institutions, and institutions need to perpetuate their own existence, right? An institution exists, and its sole purpose of existing is to continue existing. That's how institutions work. And that's why we always talk about the church as an organism rather than an institution. It's a living, breathing thing, not just a static institution, but an institution needs to perpetuate its own existence. It needs to continue existing. And in order to continue existing, there has to be some semblance of control, right? There has to be some semblance of trying to control everything. And so we end up with institutionalized religion. We end up with 29 fundamental beliefs that describe and delineate and list out all the things that we must know and believe and do. And where's the wonder in that? Where's the wonder in listing out, here's all the things that you must know, believe, and do? Right? It's gone. There's no mystery. There's no wonder. There's no surprise. So, why are we talking about this today? Well, what does this have to do with the resurrection weekend? The resurrection has, throughout history, become little more than a fact of life. Right? There's not a lot of wonder and surprise with the resurrection. There's not a lot of mystery. All right. At best, what we do is, we talk about like, oh, this is what the resurrection means. Right. And we totally skip over the fact that the resurrection happened. We say, oh, this is what the resurrection means. And we've turned it into something that is just about usefulness, right? Because we are products of our own culture. And so, oh, this is what the resurrection means. It means that we can go to heaven. It means that we have hope. Whatever it means, something. We have to control it and describe it and make sure that we totally understand it. And so we take the resurrection and we turn it into just a useful fact. Yes, the resurrection happened so we can go to heaven, so we can have hope. And we skip over the fact that the resurrection happened. There is a deep mystery to that. There is a deep wonder to that. Right? When Jesus appeared to his disciples, what was their response? They were in awe. They were dumbfounded. They couldn't speak. Peter was in a boat and he jumped out of the boat to just swim to shore because he couldn't wait anymore. There was a sense of wonder and awe in the disciples when Jesus appeared to them after being resurrected. And we kind of skip over that to just talk about what the resurrection means. And we miss the wonder, we miss the mystery, we miss the surprise of what the resurrection actually is. So don't skip the wonder of tomorrow, of Resurrection Sunday. Wonder is the birthplace of worship. Wonder is how we conceive of love, right? Because love doesn't make any sense. Love doesn't make sense. How I feel towards someone that I love, those emotions don't really make sense. That's why when someone says, "How do you know you're in love?" You can't give you, okay, here's a checklist to know that you're in love. You just know. And so wonder is how we conceive of love, is how we can start to begin to wrap our heads around love. And wonder is how we can glimpse God. The finale of the musical Les Miserables has this wonderful line in it that it says, "To love another person is to see the face of God," right? And wonder is the birthplace of loving someone, right? It's this, wow, this what I feel is surprising. I don't totally understand it, but it feels good what I have for this other person. And if God is love, then to love another person is to see the face of God. Wonder is how we glimpse God. So I don't have a theological thought for you about the resurrection because I don't want to give you a theological thought. What I want for you to do is to ponder the resurrection as you slump back in your chair and an involuntary whispered, "Wow," escapes you. That's what I want. I want you to have a renewed sense of wonder today. I want you to, as you ponder what happens at the resurrection, to simply to be amazed at the mystery of it, to be okay with the fact that we don't understand what it means that Jesus died. We don't understand how it happened, but all of a sudden Jesus is alive again. And it feels great and it's amazing. And we look at it and we say, whoa, we're like a child at the zoo who sees their favorite animal and they just have to scream in delight and laugh. That's what I want us to experience this weekend, to not go straight to what the resurrection means, because there's plenty of time for that, but to sit in the wonder and the mystery and the surprise of the whole thing. So before I give you a blessing for today, are there any thoughts or questions that you would like answered as we've talked about wonder this morning? Einstein, imagination is more important than knowledge when it embraces the entire world. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you want a renewed sense of wonder, there's Aaron's mentioning the West Yellowstone Discovery Center has a webcam where you can just watch wolves in their natural habitat. All right. So if there are no questions and comments, you can feel free to email or text me or whatever if you do have something that you'd like to chat about some more. I would like to give you a blessing for the resurrection and specifically a blessing for the wonder of resurrection. Christ likened his death to a seed, death and growth. Yes, absolutely. So, a blessing for Resurrection Sunday for the wonder and mystery and surprise of the resurrection. This weekend, may you discover wonder as you ponder the great mystery of the resurrection. May you experience an effervescent joy in regaining your childlike wonder. And because you have wondered, may you be convinced of the great mystery that neither death nor life, neither angels nor demons, nor rulers, neither the past nor the present, nor powers, neither height nor depth, nor anything else in all creation will be able to separate you from the love of God in Christ Jesus our Lord. Amen.